Hey guys, welcome back to the channel. I'm Nitin Gupta. I work as a research analyst for a hedge fund. I really appreciate you clicking on this video and giving me the time. I'll make sure that I try to provide as much value as I possibly can through this video to you. So we'll talk about the CELH Alani modeling call, how it went, what are the key takeaways. We'll go through the presentation. We'll go through the transcript. This is going to be a follow-up from the video that I did 3 weeks ago about this topic. That was an in-depth topic about how what my grand thesis is for this stock and where I see the targets, where I see the company going over the next 2 years and why I see it's as a really good opportunity with low risk and decent amount of reward. So yeah, we'll just cover the presentation and how I see things playing out as we go forward here. So we knew the target audience and everything else, but we didn't know the nitty gritty of the business breakdown and everything else specifically for Alani. And it was kind of nice to have this presentation as something to fall back on to see where the revenue is coming from. So unlike CELH, which is mostly energy, Alani does have 17% of their business that comes from alternative places. Shakes is 6%, and that is for 2024. As I said, if you watched the initial video, I feel like the shakes business is going to grow quite substantially. When you go to Costco, they're most likely generally sold out. And the other thing, just anecdotal evidence as well, I was talking to someone at the office at the place where I work, and most people were saying that they were switching from Fairlife to Alani. Some people were saying that because Alani proteins are way cheaper than of Fairlife. Fairlife is owned by Coca-Cola, so it's cheap protein. It's almost 30 grams of protein and 160 calories, so it's really good protein as well. I really love the flavors as well. So, and the management also mentioned something about the shakes, which we will talk about as we go forward in this video. The other thing that I noticed was the international portion of the sales for Alani is only $30 million, and this is all from Canada. So this is huge because their international opportunity is still quite wide. They can go to Australia, which I know has same interests as Northern America when it comes to consumer products. So they have that. They have Europe as well that they haven't really expanded in yet. So they're already at 30 million, whereas CELH is at 80 million. So one can say that there is a decent opportunity for them internationally as well, and they can probably scale this business up to 100 million in 2 to 3 years, and they have talked about it as well that they plan to do this. And other direct and retail distributor channel is 68%. Again, one of the things that we had talked about initially in our video was that Alani distributes their product themselves, and that is why their sell-through is so strong, and they're able to get better realizations, and they don't need to do too many promos. So that was the other thing that was confirmed in this presentation, which was nice to see. It was kind of validating for what my opinion was, just based on the numbers that were provided to us in the initial spreadsheet. This is just the other breakdown of what products they have. One thing that I kind of noticed on this spreadsheet was that they're saying enhances the top line growth algorithm. I know we already know this, but this is again very important to reiterate that they're saying the acquisition is cash EPS accretive in year one. And I do feel personally, I think the $600 million is definitely going to be around $800 million. And there's an opportunity that this is going to be even higher because Q4 was good and Q1 was even better. And Q2 is tracking to be really well as well. So I think this is a company that's going to keep on growing. And the other thing that I noticed from this portion here is a segment aligned with consumer shift towards health and wellness, key to driving category growth. So in this category, CELH and Alani are contributing 50% of the category growth. Of that, 20% in 2024 came from Alani, which is 4x higher than what it was in 2023. And these trends are only accelerating. So the timing of this buy was amazing because as we covered in the last video, we're already on track for about $800 million in sales for 2025, and they bought the business when it was only doing $605 million. So they lucked out with the timing. They probably bought the business at least $600 to $700 million cheaper, and that maybe that should have been added to the market cap right away anyways, but it wasn't. The other thing that I was going to talk about here was they talked about CELH plus Alani's combined share at 16%. Now this is as of February 2025, and again, like we talked about, as of end of April, CELH seems like it is starting to flatline to accelerate, as well as Alani, which is going just berserk. So Alani, they're saying it's at 4%. As I said in my last video, this is probably going to come in close to 6% in Q2, and that's huge as well. So that kind of puts us at 17% plus, and that the category share that they're gaining is just going to continue for a little bit at least. Okay, so so this was basically my takeaway. The other thing that I noticed here, which was very nice to see, was the Q4 results was the best, almost the best quarter. This was off a small base, so that that needs to be factored in. From a higher base, the Q4 revenue acceleration was 53%, and then for the full year was 46%. So Q4 actually, the growth in Q4 was higher than the entirety of the year. And then Q1, if you look at this data over here, this is the comparison between the Circana data, like which is the sales at the tills in various outlets where the company sells, versus the sales realized by Alani. So Alani basically realizes the sales when the delivery is made. So say they send the stuff to Costco. For them, the revenue is recognized as soon as the product is sold at Costco, right? So their growth, the product that they sold to Costco, year over year, the growth was 77.8% in terms of just the retail value. Whereas for Circana, the growth was 89%. So this is very, very, very important. So here I noted down that this was the best quarter in the last 5 quarters here. So again, you'll see here Q4 was better than all of these three. And then Q1 was even better than Q4. Now, part of this was because of the sherbet flavor that came out, and it went super viral. We talked about the trends. We'll look at the trends again. And it's important to see the cotton candy flavor that's coming out in 2 days. So I'm recording this on May 31st. On June 2nd, 2025, they're releasing the cotton candy flavor. So I would highly recommend you guys to see, to keep on checking out on how that flavor is doing, maybe in the stores near you or on social media, or someone who who consumes the product. You can talk to them and see what they think about the product, because that's definitely going to help them in Q2 as well in terms of the earnings, because these LTOs, as I said last time as well, the limited time offers really help. And the limited time offers are like how this company drives their revenue. They just keep on maintaining that brand heat. Whenever they see the consumer kind of start to flatline, they have this 1 or 2 different flavors that they launch every 2 months. The excitement around the brand goes up again as people just go and hunt for those flavors. There's a treasure hunting mechanism where like the new flavor might not be available in store A, so you have to go to store A, B, C. So that makes for good content and everything else. So that's something that is going to be worthwhile watching as well. The other thing I was noticing over here, again, if you do follow any consumer stocks, you know how this sell-through works. So the sell-through is higher than what Alani recognized sales were. So this 11% basically is destocking of the inventory at the retailer level. So what that basically means is that say Costco started with $100 or 100 units of inventory for CELH, and they sold through 89% of it. Now they only have 11 pieces left. Now next time when they order, they'll have to order more because they're anticipating that this growth is going to continue, right? Now the inventory was depleted at the Costco level, so generally what happens is you'll see a huge surge. And this surge is recognized in the quarter where the revenue is actually realized by Alani. So in this case, where we are seeing that this, if you this is just for an example, 5% minus 5% minus 14%, that kind of worked through in this quarter where Alani sold more products than on the retail level, because the retailers are stocking up. So in this quarter we see a negative number, so that means the next quarter the retailers will have to build up more inventory, and that would mean a huge amount of a huge bulk sale in Q2 potentially. So Q2 the numbers could be really good because of that as well. So yeah, that's another thing that I think is worth watching. So yeah, just keep an eye on that. I'm not going to get into the financials too much because this business at the end of the day is going to be a growth business, and the synergies are going to be realized by 2026. So this year and until the end of next year, I think the story is going to be around sales growth and how much growth can Alani and CELH see from their sales. So that's something to keep an eye on. So now let's look at some of the important things that were covered by the management in the earnings call. So yeah, first of all, as I said, this is my core thesis. If you have watched my initial video, this is my core thesis, and the management has mentioned this multiple times, but I think the analysts can't really factor that in because they have to factor in numbers, right? And it's hard to just say that a business can replicate what CELH did, but the management thinks that this is going to happen, and I do think there's a decent possibility that this could happen. So the management said, as we have previously discussed, in terms of market share and expansion, Alani is about 12 to 24 months behind what CELH is today. So that basically means the hyper growth phase that CELH saw in 2022 and 2023, where the sales just kept on going up. The management thinks Alani is in that phase. So it's basically right before where the explosive market share gains start to happen. You've already seen that over the last 3 quarters where the share has almost doubled. It's gone from 3 3% to almost 6% now. So there's a good possibility that over the next 24 months we go from 6% to 12, 9 or 10%. So that would mean that combined share could go up to 20%, which is unheard of. No one besides Monster and Red Bull has done this. And Alani is gonna potentially get to 8 to 10% within a period of 8 to 10 years. That's amazing. And the asset, as I said last time as well, is valuable together because the synergies you're going to realize, the placement that you get, the more marketing efficiency that you can do. So there's a lot of good opportunities, as well as the Hansen nomination. He's a veteran in this industry, and I've seen the management, as you can see from their website, the management is really focusing on getting the street's confidence back, because they're doing a conference on June 3rd, and then they're doing another one on June 4th. So this has been one of the reasons why the stock has been where it has been, because if you listen to the earnings calls, you'd see that the tone of the analysts is very skeptical. The analysts don't really trust the management anymore, so they're taking the CEO, Mr. Hansen, with them on all of these calls, and he's a veteran, and the analysts really do trust in him more than they trust the current management. So I think that's another thing that is going to play out eventually here. When the management goes out, now the modeling call is done, they can probably talk about it more freely. More questions are going to be asked about Alani. The conversation is going to shift from Celsius to Alani more, and that is something that that's going to be very, very nice to see, because at the end of the day, I believe personally the story is not about Celsius anymore. It's about Alani and what Alani can do, with Celsius basically trying to be a steady grower, maybe grow with the category, best case 8-10%. That would be really good for them. But Alani is definitely going to be the power engine of this company going forward. So the other thing that the management said here was, so one of the analysts, Peter Grom, he asked if they could give guidance on Alani Nu's revenue and what the analysts can expect for what the revenue is going to be around that. And the management didn't say much, but one thing that was important to note, and again we covered that in the initial video, where it says Q1 with Celsius portfolio got off to a slow start, but we are starting to see growth on week-over-week basis and stabilization. So that's what I had said. I said that Celsius is going to start to flatline, and Alani is going to be the growth engine. And it appears that that's kind of playing out here. So he said we got some great programs and additional investment behind some marketing initiatives that you'll see this summer as we're entering the summer season. We're excited about. So this is a piece that was written on Wall Street Journal this week. The management did mention yesterday that they're going to do their biggest marketing campaign. So in its biggest, the energy drink broadens its outreach to include the everyday high achiever as competition among beverages heats up. So now they're trying to go far and beyond performance nutrition energy drink. They're trying to cater to your nurses, your firefighters. So they're trying to expand the TAM a little bit more and trying to position it in a way that it's not only for athletes and everything else. This brand is for everybody. Red Bull is more geared towards athletes, and Monster is to some extent very masculine dominated. But what they're doing here with Celsius is they're trying to expand besides that. And I mean, keep an eye on this as well very closely, because this launches very soon here. The Live Fit Go campaign, and it's going to be around better for you beverages, and better for you beverages have done really well, like Olipop and all these other Poppy and all these other competitors in this space. Not saying that it's directly targeting those people, but I think if they're able to pull off this this campaign in a way that people can relate to it, and if there's conversation about it on TikTok, as we've seen that some of the companies recently have really been very they've been very focused on this narrative building around their company and trying to build a company that, or a narrative that is more relatable to people. That narrative sells really well. So if they're able to do that, if they're able to maybe I don't know what the campaign is going to be, but if I was them, I would go with case studies or actual people kind of sharing their stories and heartfelt stories and everything else. Those will probably resonate and put a positive picture around the brand, which should lead to sales. But this is the biggest marketing campaign that they've ever done, and I think they're probably going to take a couple of suggestions from the Alani Nu team, because Alani is amazing at this, as we've talked about. So yeah, it'll be really nice to see if this works out. Then just prepare for fireworks for the stock. If it doesn't, again, it comes down to Alani. Obviously the marketing spend is going to go up, so the margin is going to be hampered, but I'm sure that this will help them at least to gain some sort of relevance again, because Celsius has been declining recently and now it's starting to come back. So if this campaign does really well, they could be back on the path of growth again. So yeah, so the LTO that I talked about already, the Sherbet Swirl 12 for the first few weeks of launch was actually the #1 SKU on energy in certain retailers, large retailers. So this specific the LTO that they did with the Sherbet Swirl LTO, this was #1 energy in #1 SKU for energy in certain retailers, large retailers. So the management is hinting here, like this strategy that they have around LTOs is working, and it would be really interesting to see how cotton candy flavor works out over the next 2-3 days, because if that goes viral too, like that'll again help them in Q2 again. So this is something to keep an eye on. Yeah, so I think we'll see how that goes. So if I kind of look at where they are in Q1 year over year, they were up 65 to 70%. And then they were saying they were up Q4 last year on consolidated basis, and that was partly due to the pipe fill of the Sherbet Swirl. And then so far, we've seen the scanner data pretty solid in Q2. So the trends that I showed you the other day here, the search trends and the website traffic trends are doing really well as well. So the trends are doing really well, and hopefully they'll have another great quarter, and then we'll see that these trends actually accelerated into April. And the management already talked about the fact that they're having a solid Q2, and this cotton candy flavor could actually accelerate them further. So it'll be interesting to see how this plays out as well. So here the other question was, the portfolio is much broader in adjacent categories. This is around the shakes and everything else, and I said the shakes are going to be something that they're going to be very focused on. I feel they're discontinuing some of the flavors already, like the gummies that they had, but I think the shakes category is something that they should really focus on. They only have like a few flavors and limited distribution right now, especially in Canada, and I know there's a insatiable demand for this, and the kind of sell-through that they're getting at Costco and other retailers, I won't be surprised if they get more shelf space and everything else going forward. So this is another thing that I think is going to be leading them to growth in the short term. So that's basically my thoughts on this company. As I said in the past, you'll see the revenue exploding for CELH going forward, as well as for Alani. I mean, like if this marketing campaign for CELH plays out, I won't be surprised by the end of this year if the stock is sitting at $60. Like this is not an exaggeration, because I do feel there's a path for Alani to get to around $800 to $900 million in revenue by the end of this year, which would mean you're looking at even like 3.5 times sales potentially for a growth brand like that. You're valuing Alani at about $3.5 billion to $4 billion, and then your CELH, which is going to be at the same market share, you're looking at around 8 or 9 billion for that as well. And then and that's just like basically foundational analysis. So you're looking at like around 8 or 10 billion. But this is a sector where we know that the market gives it a premium because of the certainty of the cash flows. So with Monster, the Monster's sales are around Monster's sales are around I think $8 billion, and they trade at $60 billion valuation. And I mean, it's a global portfolio, but it's not growing anymore, right? Whereas if Alani was to get to like that, Monster is selling at around 7 times, 8 times sales, and CELH's sales potentially by the end of this year could be $2.5 billion. So if you put the same multiple on there with the growth portfolio that they have and the growth opportunity that they have, with the international expansion, more SKUs, more efficiency in marketing and managing and everything else, you're potentially like you can say that a $4 billion portfolio, $2.5 billion portfolio in sales valued at 8 times revenue should be at $20 billion. I mean, when CELH was going crazy, the market cap was higher than that at that time when the company was growing. So like $20 billion could be a base case for this market cap right now, sitting at around $9.5 billion. So that gives you a 2x basically. So I think my base case around this company right now, I think it's undervalued, just given how strong Alani is. So I do expect $45 to a $50 like price target by the end of this year. And if things play out, if we have some sort of a euphoria, if CELH starts to get back into the growth mode again, I won't be surprised if we see a $75 to $100 stock by the end of next year. It might seem outrageous right at this moment, but this sector is such, like consumer goods, if they start trending, they can really catch fire, and so can the stock price, because there's an insatiable demand for buying that stock, and there's no tariff risks. Aluminum prices, if they stay stable, they will, you know, continue to grow their portfolio. The efficiencies are going to be there, and there's so many opportunities with like Mr. Hansen joining the board as well. So I think this is something to keep an eye on. I really appreciate you watching. If you're watching till the end here, please subscribe. That really helps me out, gives me more you know, incentives to do the videos. I'll try to keep everything free here forever on this channel, so a subscribe would be really appreciated. I'll talk to you in the next one. Take care, guys.